the Business Men and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am excited again with another amazing participant here on the BMWOC who's going to be sharing her story with you and also about her publication and what she is passionate to do to help other women or other people who are survivors of domestic violence and things of that nature. And she's also a speaker, so definitely excited to hear from her today. BMWC has really come full circle. We are in our fourth season this year with so many amazing people. Last year we had 75 participants. The year before we had 65. And this year we have 58 participants who are eager to share their information with you. Just in case you didn't know, the purpose of the BMWC platform is to unify people from around the world and share information about their career and business information so that you can decide what you would like to do and also know what's going on in the industries that's out here today or being created today. So make sure that you are looking at all the pages, listen to the podcast, and like, share, and vote for your favorite podcast participant. We have 7 awards coming up this year, and we are very excited to be awarding, again, 7 lucky participants who have podcasts that resonates with you. So make sure you vote to keep yours in the favorite. And also, don't forget to have a pen and piece of paper as you go through the podcast. You'll be surprised what you might learn just listening to the stories of the participants we have this year. Now, we couldn't do all this alone. Our corporate sponsors, and we would like to take a moment to thank them. They are My Financial Home, Evangelism Radio, J&F Enterprises, Sears Consulting, Autism Families Rock, Awakening to Love, Eli Natoli, Kimberly McLemore, True Synergy, and Platinum Financial Services, along with our other BMWOC participants who are helping to make this season a huge, huge success. So all the way from Louisiana, we have Martha Young, who is a Louisiana native. She is right now residing in Texas, and she's the mother of 5 and a grandmother. She is also a survivor of domestic violence. And with her voice, she is being an author and a speaker who was talking about domestic violence and what people can do against domestic violence. Her book is called War Stories, Volume 1, and she also has another book that she's working on that we are going to be talking about today. And as you guys are reading her bio, we're going to get right into the interview and talking to Martha. Martha, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay today. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. So you're from Louisiana, you're living in Texas. So can you share some other background information about yourself, whichever you feel comfortable with?
Yes, besides I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I had a daughter who passed away with cancer. She would have been 22, so give it maybe about 10 years, 8 years ago, she passed away. Just unusual cancer, and I basically moved to Texas to get away from my ex-husband to start over again. Basically, I wasn't a stay-at-home mother, but I raised my kids and plus his other kids. So altogether, it was 8 girls and 1 son. And basically, I'm from a little town called Hammond, Louisiana. My mom was a single parent. She raised 5 of us by herself. My dad died when I was 5. I was spoiled. My grandma spoiled me because I was the only child my father had. So when I met my ex-husband, I really didn't know too much of anything. I was a homebody.
Okay. And so when you were living in that situation at the time, did you find anything that was positive in your life that you could use to get you through the tough times?
At that time, the only positive thing I had was praying.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what else to do because I didn't know where to go. The sources that I have found about now, I didn't know anything about those sources. The only way that I got through was praying. I prayed a lot, I cried a lot, and I prayed a lot.
Okay. As you were coping through that, and I'm really sorry to hear that. Let me just say that first. I'm really sorry that you went through that, growing up. But, I have to ask if you were able to at least attend college, or did you, get a career somewhere doing a simple thing or something like that? I mean, what did you do once you became an adult?
I actually did go to college.
Hmm.
My plan before I had my first child was to go to the Air Force, but I ended up going to school for computer programming.
Hmm.
And by then, I ended up having my second child, so I didn't finish that, and I ended up going for medical, going back right after I had my fourth child, and I ended up going back to doing medical coding, billing and coding, and that I didn't do anything dealing with the medical billing and coding. I ended up working for Homeland Security. I worked for
Okay.
FEMA for 8 years, so and I did private sitting on the side as well. So I worked two
Okay.
jobs.
Okay. So when you was working at FEMA, what was your day-to-day duties there?
I did housing. So I'm the one that goes out and place you in the FEMA trailer, and I come back to recertify you each month to stay in the trailer. So I help you find housing, and I
Hmm.
also recertify you to stay in the FEMA trailer.
Okay. All right. And
Mhm.
so you said you worked there for how many years? 8 years?
8 years.
Okay. And so what was your decision to leave that organization?
Katrina came to an end, and the other disasters during that time in 2005 had came to an end. So we had to wait till it was more work for us to go back out. So I ended up doing private sitting because I had a family at home and I really
Hmm.
couldn't wait until the unemployment ran out. So they did pay us unemployment. I couldn't wait till that run out and
Hmm.
would be able to, house or feed my children. So I ended up
Hmm.
doing private sitting.
So after you were doing the private sitting, what was your goals after that? Were you seeking to get back into FEMA emergency services, or did you have any other career interests?
Yes, I did. I wanted to do hair. On the side, I was braiding hair. I was doing weaving, and I was doing the housekeeping. But my main focus was that I wanted to own my own business. I just didn't know exactly what it was, but
Hmm.
I definitely was doing like braiding hair on the side and anything that would keep me going to keep money coming into the household. Because, like
Hmm.
I said, FEMA basically had us on the side, and I was doing the private shit, and I had to wait till someone called me to come in to work. And
Hmm.
I had to wait all my options. My goal was always to own my own business, to do either a little boutique or to do my own beauty salon. But it was always something that I wanted to do was own my own business.
Wow. Okay. And so something in your life took a turn where you became a victim of domestic violence, that kind of just stumped you in what your passion was and trying to, live your life. And so from that, which has happened, you ended up speaking and talking about, how people can be aware of domestic violence. If you want to share something about that.
Yes, when it first happened to me, I was 18. I was 18 years old. Like I said, I was spoiled. I didn't know he was the person that he was. I totally seen somebody totally different. So I didn't know that he was the person that was an alcoholic. I didn't know he was a big timer that was out there in the streets. All that he had hid from me. So I didn't know too much about him. All I knew was that I had two kids. I met him when I was pregnant with my second daughter, and he was taking care of the daughter that I had already had, and then helping me getting prepared for the second daughter that I was carrying. So I didn't know anything about. He didn't give me any kind of signs of that he was that person. And
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
so I didn't know it until we moved in together, and that's when the
Wow.
signs started happening. He basically charmed me. He basically did everything that you would want a man to do for you, because he
Mhm.
had a job. He had a 9 to 5. He had a job, but
Mhm.
all the extraness, he didn't show So, like, I didn't know he was living with his other kid's mother. I had
Oh,
no clue
wow.
about none of that. I thought
Mm.
he told me he had kids, but he didn't tell me that he was living with someone else. So I didn't know anything about that.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely sorry, that that had happened to you. And so, kind of fast forwarding because I think domestic violence is a very sensitive thing. And first of all, I want to thank you for sharing that sensitive part of your life and that you were able to push through. So can you just kind of give maybe like two or three coping mechanisms or maybe escape? How did you actually get out of the situation? Because there's thousands of people that suffer with domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge awareness that's going on right now. And I think people need to hear how you were able to get out of the situation. Maybe like three major things that you did.
To be honest,
Hmm.
I wasn't trying. I was so stuck on him. I wasn't trying to get out of it.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I wasn't. So what happened was we had a cop that would come every time there was a fight and the police was called. This same cop would come each and every time. And this same police officer, the last time that it happened, and he told me to get my kids' stuff and get my stuff, and he was bringing me out the house like that was it. That he was gonna sit there and let it happen to me again. But I had been praying and crying and asking God to remove me out of the situation. Each time He removed me out of the situation, I went back. And I can't tell you how many times I went back, but I did because I was so drawn to this man, and I didn't want nobody to come in to take what I worked hard for. So I never looked at that, this man is doing me so wrong and he's abusing me. I was fighting for my marriage and I was fighting for this man. So when the cop came in and removed me, I was so mad because he removed me out of the situation. I wanted to fight for my marriage.
Mhm.
So it took months, a year to be honest, for me to realize the reason why the cop did it was to save me.
Mhm.
And I had to look
And
at,
your kids too.
and my kids, because I had all girls.
Mhm.
I had four girls,
Mhm.
and I was mad because I was really upset with God too because I'm like, I don't lost a daughter and then now I'm losing my marriage. Like, wow, like
Mhm.
what did I do so wrong that I'm going through all of this here, and
Mhm.
why? And it took me years to and look at my daughters and say, okay, I'm raising girls.
Mhm.
My girls shouldn't see this is the way that a marriage or love's supposed to be. And for a long time, my oldest daughter was mad and she was fighting.
Mhm.
And I had to look at her like, wow, I done it. I should have been took him out the household. And then
Right.
I shut it down and I explained to her, no, no, this is not the way it's supposed to be. This is how
Mhm.
it's supposed to be. So I prayed. It was prayer. It was prayer, and God kept sending the same cop to me, same one to me each and every time. And this last time, he said, "This time you're gonna listen to what I have to say. You
Mhm.
are so much better. You are so much better. You cannot keep going through this. You cannot. Like let her have him. Let whoever else has it. Watch how he's gonna lose everything."
Mhm.
And behold, a year later, he lost everything. Like he took all the furniture that I worked hard for, and I'm talking about our kids' stuff or whatever, and he gave it to her. So when I left, I had nothing.
Wow.
My we had nothing. It was just the clothes that we had packed and the clothes that we had on our back, and I had to go back to my mama's house. So we had nothing, and he had it all.
But then he lost it all, right?
He
He
lost it
lost
all.
he lost it all.
He
Okay.
lost it all a year later. A year later, he did lose it all. He ended up moving
Mhm.
everything out the house, and he ended
Mhm.
up giving it to her.
Mm, mm, mm. I say because this hits home for me in a lot of ways. So I just think that sometimes when we fight for things that we work hard for, that we are blinded, by material things. We're blinded by what we think is love, and we're blinded by just our own self-worth. And
Right.
honestly, I am so glad that the cop was persistent to come and get you up out of there. And I'm pretty sure that once you realize, and maybe some people are, hearing this podcast and they have similar stories, that you realize that you are better than those material things that you fought for, or you're better than the house or the car or whatever. And it's your life that is the most precious thing in the world that needs saving. And so I'm glad that he kept coming back and dragging you up out of there,
Yeah.
because look what you
Right.
did. You went ahead. I mean, you prospered after that, with the grace of God. And then you came out with your first book, War Stories, Volume One.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
let's talk about your book. I'm pretty certain it's going to be about domestic violence, but I want to hear from you, your passion behind writing the book, and maybe give some nuggets about what's in the book.
Yes, ma'am. When I
Mhm.
first when that book first happened, it was a contest. A friend girl of mine who's an evangelist, she kept um tagging me in this post because I was already going to this lady because I kept this journal and I wanted it to tell one day, put it into a book. They help others out, and so she kept on like, I can't do this. Like, no, I say, stop tagging me, please, and this, I don't want to do this. And she say, this, I mean, all she asked for is just a short story of what you've been through. And I kept saying, I can't do this. And then the lady finally came in under the text. She said, yes, you can. She said, I expect for you to write this. And I prolonged it and I prolonged it, and then it was getting close. Then I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and write it. And I just went to telling from day one what happened and how did I feel, what I felt when it first happened. I tell how it scared me, and then the more that he did it, the more I was drawn into him. I was trying to do everything to keep him from doing it to me again, but it kept happening. And as I
Mhm.
would open up, remembering things that would happen, and the just how I was raising up kids in a household when it's happened. I even talk about the street life that he had me in.
Mm.
And I was like more than his girlfriend at that time. Then turned into his wife. Like he had so I talk about how I caught him at the hotels with other women, and he would tell me that, oh, that's my friend. That was not me, but I knew it was him. And how he said, okay, I'm gonna teach you the game, so I'm gonna need you to learn how to do this. And then
Mhm.
how it turned into he had his friends watching me. If he told me not to go out that door, I better not have go out that door. If they came back and told him that they saw me out the door, then I would have to fight. So I basically break down this some of it in
Oh, wow.
volume one of telling
Mhm.
exactly how I went from this stage here, not knowing, and how I, you know, how it all just. I just basically talk about how it all began, and
Wow.
it opened up so much more, and also was a healing for me because a lot of
Mm.
stuff I had blocked out, and I didn't want to tell no one about it because some of the stuff I done I was ashamed of.
Mhm. Yeah, oh my goodness. I'm just a little emotional because I don't understand why one person will want to put their hands on another person to control them, and what's worse, to, you know, hit them, bruise them, call them names, however, it's just no excuse from that to do that to another individual. I'll never understand it, you know, understand the anger, why someone has to get that angry to put their hands on another person. Um, I'm never going to understand that. But I think by you having this book and your upcoming book that you're working on, She Desires Her, um, that these two books is going to allow you to be empowered, to have more control of your life and what you want to deal with and what you don't want to deal with. And it will also bring other people who are suffering with this to realize what you realize, in terms of that, and turn it into an entrepreneurship where you're actually selling your books and you're making money from your empowerment, which is really the best thing. Because, although the podcast is, talking about careers in business, it is also talking about the individual, like yourself, that's been through a whole lot, and now you have a whole lot more positive things that you got going on. So we
Yeah.
didn't talk about that negative. So let's get to the positive and stuff. So what has been, what has been the impact of you going out and speaking to women about your story, and maybe how they felt? What kind of feedback have you gotten from that?
A lot of women have came back and told me that I was their motivator, that I gave them hope, that no, they won't be in that situation for too long. I did a women's conference a couple of months back, and I was speaking on the things that I went through, but I did it at a church, and I was doing it a different kind of way. I went to the Bible, I read on it, and I studied for it, but when I got there, it was a totally different thing. I didn't know that it was a lady in there that was actually going through the same thing. And she was sitting there and she was crying. And I was studying speaking and didn't know that she was going through it. And the lady who was hosting the women's conference just came to me and said that, she was going through it. And God had already told me to go over there and hug her. But I didn't know why I was hugging her. And this a couple of weeks back, another lady inboxed me because I was giving snippets of my book. I just gave like a little part of it, and she said, "You just motivate me." She said, "And you making me stronger than what I'm already am." She said, "But my thing is, I keep going back to him." She said, "But when you said that you had to just do a whole 360 and just to change the things that was going on," she said, "you just gave me motivation to just look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, I'm so much worthy of what he's doing to me." And she decided this move to another part of I think she's from another state, and just to start over.
Absolutely. Wow. That is so phenomenal, Martha. I really applaud you for getting that kind of feedback. And you know what? I also want to remind everybody who's listening, if they haven't got a chance, to go to the second issue of the BMWC magazine, where we have you featured in the Women of Influence section of that magazine from 2018. And in there, you have a blog called Speak Loud, and
Yes.
you building a business called Not Broken. Can you tell the listeners what that is all about?
Not Broken was the first organization that I came up with, because it was a show that I went through all of this here, and I'm still not broken. And it was a show that at that time I was 42, and I was showing that, okay, I'm transformation myself. Like, I was in a size 22, now I'm in a size 17. It's showing that you can't
what?
tell that you can't tell that I went through. During that time I only had 6 grandkids, I think. And people were thinking like, "Why you got grandkids? You're a grandmother?" Yes, I'm a grandmother. All my kids are grown. My oldest daughter, she's a nurse. My second daughter, she's going to be a dentist, but she's a dentist assistant working to a dentist office, being she's a dental manager or something. And my last child is in college. And my son, was his son, I raised, has his own production company in Houston. I don't look the way that I've been doing. And I don't have like a broken jaw. I don't have a broken nose. And the bruises you can't see. The bruises on the outside, but the bruises that was inside of me wasn't there anymore either. I had healed from it, and the healing came because I forgave him. So that's why I came up with Not Broken, and the podcast Speak Loud was for me to let other women come in to talk about. This is share their story,
Mm-hmm.
and for us to speak out on the issue of domestic violence.
I'm giving you a hand clap, standing ovation all the way over here.
Thank you.
Let me tell you something. I think you're a phenomenal woman.
Thank
I think
you.
you're phenomenal. Never ever forget that. And for everybody who is listening to this very, very sensitive podcast, you're definitely hearing someone who is not a survivor, but a conqueror of domestic violence, because I understand it's hard to get out of certain situations that you firmly believe in. But you know what? You guys are conquerors too, and I'm pretty certain that this is not going to be the end of the conversation. There are conferences going on right now raising huge awareness for domestic violence. So, are you going to be in any other speaking engagements in the next few months that you want to tell people about, or maybe a book signing that you're going to be having your book out there, or maybe a place where you're going to be speaking in general so they can come and hear your story in person?
Hopefully, my book will be finished. Matter of fact, I meet with the editor today about finishing up the book. Hopefully, I'm releasing it on my daughter's birthday, the one that passed away, June the
Mm-hmm.
27th.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on right now. We're working on an outreach ministry. I'm learning how to do coaching, like
Mm-hmm.
transformation coaching, because I want so much to do in this outreach. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just taking the time just to learn how to do different things. But I do have something coming up in Atlanta. It's not written in stones yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have. I'm just waiting for the lady to get back with me, and I will
Okay.
be posting it when I do.
Okay, so everybody, you heard it. She has some potential gigs coming up, and as soon as I know before the podcast launches this summer, I will definitely have it on her page so that you can click on it along with her other information. So I have one final question, and then you can give your contact information. Is what do you need personally and professionally to help you thrive in your business? What do you need?
Her, I
Everybody
need
gets
maybe
stuck when I ask that question.
yeah. It's right now. I feel like that I need more speaking engagements so I can get the more hang of it and not to be as nervous to go out there to speak and tell my story. Because sometimes I do get nervous. And like
Hmm.
I'll make the answer like I say, I make it real short and quick because I don't want to overdo it. Because I'm a
Hmm.
talker. Like my grandfather's my bishop. He was
Hmm.
just and he's long winded. And I try not to be long winded because I don't want to bore anyone. So
Hmm.
more speaking is so I can be able to get the hang of it and just
Okay.
prayer that the doors that could continue to open. I mean right now I'm just doing it one day at a time. I'm still
Hmm.
learning how to do certain things, and sometimes I feel like it's not gonna happen. Then that's my doubting, and then it happens.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of practice, and I'm sure that with your passion behind what you're doing, that the speaking gigs is going to happen. And I'm going to be encouraging and praying for you to continue doing what you're doing. And so, everyone who is listening, if you like this podcast and you want to get in touch with Martha about raising awareness for domestic violence, just click at the bottom of this page. First of all, I want you to hit like and share, and then I want you to vote first, and then contact her and let her know what you need in terms of this subject here. Because let me tell you, it takes a lot of courage to get on a podcast platform to talk about what actually happened to you in a domestic violence situation, or even talk public about it. So let's show some support, and get in touch with her, or either go to wherever. Now, where's your book sold? Is it on Amazon?
Yes, the War Story Volume 1 is on Amazon.
Okay. And so give everybody your contact information so they can get in contact with you.
Okay. On Facebook as Martha Young is Victim to Victorious. My email is I am not broken yet at gmail.com. My cell is 985-318-9601.
Absolutely. So thank you so very much, Martha, for being part of the movement and sharing your story here on the podcast. I give you so much luck in everything that you're doing, and definitely keep in touch with me.
Thank you. I want to thank you so much because you were the first person that I reached out to dealing with the when you start seeing the magazine, and I thank you for giving me an opportunity to be on your podcast to be able to know to speak out on what I'm doing. I feel like this is a door opening, and I just want to thank you so much too as well for helping me out.
Well, you're so welcome. And then what she's talking about again, if you want to go and check out the BMWC magazine, just go to www.bmwocpodcast/BMWC mag, and you're going to find the magazine there. Just look for issue number 2, and she is definitely on page 12, and you can see a little bit of her story there. And thank you so much, and we're going to end the podcast.